Now, Dirk, here on the tiny little interview, how has your experience been?
It's been tiny.
I'm here in Riverside, California. Dirk, I've heard you describe yourself as a designer who designs designers. What does that mean?
The way that I started to think about this is I have design students and they're in my class and I'm like the captain of the ship, but they're the ones that are really, propelling the ship forward. And my job is to hopefully help them become better at what they're doing. I see that all the things that I set up for my students to do is to push them towards that.
You're part of a really cool community that you've built called From Where I Drone. Tell us about how you started that.
From Where I Drone came out of my desire to just help out others. I wanted to feature people that were doing really cool work using a drone. I started an account on Instagram and I just started sharing cool work. I also then started a website, and little by little, I started meeting people. As I shared work, people would be like, oh, thanks for doing that. Or I'd reach out and be like, I love your work, can I share it? And just relationships started to form. I started to learn from people in this community. I think people started to learn from me. We'd share tips and tricks, and it was something that was just really beautiful. And then over time, it started to really grow into something bigger, and I've really been able to see the fruits of all that. And it really started from a heart of just wanting to help others. Even that's the heart of, being here at CBU. Every time I'm in class, I'm not working on my own work. I'm okay with that. I love that. I've made that choice, but I want to push others to be better. I want to help inspire people. I want to support people. I want to love people. From Where I Drone is a little offset of that, of how I could do that, and it's turned into something really cool.
You've been able to expand this community in so many different ways, whether that's Instagram to a blog page to now your book. What was it like to put out a book into the world for people to see?
Yeah, so I actually have had a couple publishers come to me before asking for me to do a book. It just didn't feel right. One day this publisher named Rizzoli came along, and they're known for doing really nice art books and photo books, and we started to met with them in New York. It was like, yeah, let's do this. This is the right crew. And then we had to actually start putting the book together, which was way harder than I thought. And that meant, what's the story? There's not a lot of writing, but I still wanted to tell a story. It's something I'm really proud of. It actually hit a couple of the charts on Amazon. Gotten a really good response from it. And what's cool about it though is that, Instagram is this digital world, and the digital became physical. And whether Instagram dies one day, right? Facebook kills it off. It's no longer cool or whatever. This book is in the world, and it's gonna last, It might be found one day in someone's garage, right? At a garage sale, but the book is here and it's a physical thing, which is not something that we really get to participate a lot in if we're doing a lot of digital creation. So this was really exciting for me.
Go get your book, discount code TinyMike. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Recently, you've taken on another project, projects after project, but it's actually building a home with your family. Tell us about that. Why even invite people into that process of what that looks like?
The thing that I love about what I'm doing is design has made me realize, I can make a logo and, other people are going to see that. Or I'm going to make a class and I'm going to teach students how to do something, and then they're going to learn a skill set that's going to help them maybe get a job or whatever that is. And design exists everywhere. Literally everything that is in our lives is affected because someone made some decision. So someone made a decision how to make this awesome mic, right? This size, this is the best mic ever. And so once I started to really understand that, I realized I can design anything. Doesn't mean it's going to be good, but we started to think about what would that look like to design a home? And we really wanted to create a space for our family to be able to thrive and to flourish. How can I use my skill set that I believe I've been given to, permeate everything I do? And that's an example of the home project.
This is a project really geared around family. How do you balance family life and creativity?
Oh yeah, that's one of my big stories in life. Sometimes people are impressed by my following, oh look, he's got so many followers and he's worked on these things, these big projects or with these big brands, and yeah, that stuff's cool. But at the same time, I'm willing to share. I tell my students those things were also at the sacrifice of some things as well. The year I made the most money ever was a year that I didn't maybe have the best relationship with my wife. I think that's fair to say. I have to figure out how can I do all of these things well, because I know that the more I do, the more I'm spreading myself out. I can't give everything 100%, so I have to be really mindful of what I say yes to. So that's helped me to try to be better at being careful what I say yes to. I realize that when I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. And so I'm really trying to be mindful of that. I realize I need to have a cutoff time. My goal is when I come home, I don't have to work on anything. It's going to be family time. You kind of think that like just good relationships happen. It's like, no, like it has to be a priority. Like, where's the cutoff? I'm going to work hard during the day, and then I'm going to work hard on my family and my wife when I come home, right?
I hope you're taking notes because we got some nuggets of wisdom here. How do you find purpose in pursuing art that isn't explicitly Christian?
You know, that's one of the things that I feel strongly about. We've made a great division between the secular and the sacred. For me, I come from a mindset where it was really easy to distinguish these two things. And as I feel that I've matured, you know, hopefully have grown in the faith, I see these things as not this clear divide. I recognize that, you know, God is good, He's true, and He's beautiful. And those things can exist outside of a poster that has, you know, John 3:16 on it. That's not to downplay any meaning about John 3:16, but, you know, I think of how, you know, the heavens declare the glory of God. You know, is John 3:16 written on a tree? Like, I mean, how are we gonna are we gonna push that back to nature? Like, how do the heavens declare the glory of God if a tree doesn't talk? If a tree doesn't write John 3:16 on itself, right? And so I think we need to think deeper, bigger about these. I think we need to have more conversations about these. So for me, I see this as God has given me a gift. God has given you a gift. How are you using that to bring Him glory and to help others to thrive and to flourish, right? I think of Mark 12:30, about loving the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loving your neighbor as yourself. If I can do those things, that completely opens up the spectrum of what I can work on and what project that is and how I do it, because it's not this super narrow thing with just this one clear goal. There's a lot packed in there, right? Loving my neighbor means giving of myself, right? The difference between love and lust is lust you take, love you give, right? So that's a charge I feel of wanting to grow more, and how can I be better at love? And I have a long way to go, but I have a goal of that, right? That's my goal.
Now, Dirk, here on the tiny little interview, how has your experience been?
It's been tiny. It's been great. I'm honored. This is super cool. I love what you're doing. So super excited. Thank you.
Again, you're my professor, and this is actually my senior capstone project. Why did you let me do this for a big project?
Man, I love, like, you have a passion for creating things that are a little different, a little outside the box. One of the things that I saw about this project is you like lit up. You showed a couple ideas, right? And they were good, but then you like lit up on this one. This is the one that we need to foster. Why? Because you're going to put a lot into it, and I know you're going to give it your all, but then also too, like, I think you're willing to work with me if I thought of something new, or like you would be someone that would actually like do something opposed to like, oh, he's making me do whatever. Like, no, I know this is going to help make it better. You were willing to trust me, and I was willing to trust you, and I was like, of course, we got to go for it.
Where do you see this project going in the future? Do you have any ideas?
Well, the first thing is if it even doesn't really go anywhere past this capstone, look at all that you learned, man. Like, you learned how to connect with others. You already do that so well, but you've done it in an even more professional way, right? You got your cue cards, right? I mean, just all the ideas that you've come with for this project have been, really impressive. But this is going to take you into circles that you maybe not have been invited to if you didn't have this, right? Because someone's going to say, hey, you should go interview this person, or someone's going to watch it and be like, oh, like, I wonder if they would interview me, right? Or whatever that might mean. You're going to meet people, right? And for me, that's like creating is connecting, right? Like, your act of creation has now brought you into the circle of other people, right? And that's one of the things about being here at CBU. Like, we are all here because of creating, which is fun and awesome in and of itself. That's our bridge to make a new friend, right? Like, you're going to be graduating soon. Jake will no longer be my student. Jake will be my colleague, right? And we'll be professional colleagues, and that's exciting. It's like the bigger picture of all this stuff, and I see that you're someone that gets that.
That's a great tiny little interview. Dirk, thanks so much for being on the show today. It was really nice having you and hearing some of your insight and stories.
Yeah, no dino question?
Oh, you want the dino question?
On,
all right, here we go. Dirk Dallas, if you were a dino nugget, which one would you be and why?
It's been a long time since I've had a dino nugget. Do the pterodactyls exist? Okay, I'd pick that, right? Flight, come on, drones. I gotta pick that.
It all ties in.
Full circle.
Full circle. Well, this has been a tiny little interview with Dirk Dallas. Thanks again.